Corporate advertisers are buying censorship and Google Corporation is selling it to them. Know that and remember that. This message provided in the public interest by an interested member of the public. Get interested. Alright, kind of a response video to the conference report guy, I think, anyway. Partially him. It's just basically on the general subject of this, morality issue subject kind of thing. So I'll play a little bit of his video.
I just think I'm getting a bit bogged down in this values morality thing myself, and I don't know about how you feel about this guy, but I'm not sure this can go anywhere really, because I am of the opinion that a notion like a value takes its meaning from our ability as humans, in this case, just as having this kind of a body and this kind of a role in the world. Our notion of value, positive and negative value, takes its meaning from the things that we do as humans, from our ability to feel pleasure and pain, to suffer and to experience joy.
Yeah, well, I know, but see, this idea that we can discount this subject and what we enjoy, what we feel. I guess the premise of what I'm arguing is that should already be a given. That's completely arbitrary, completely dependent on how we program the human. We have complete control, in a sense, over what we turn out to be, what we're raised to be. That dynamic is a proven dynamic. It's just, so I guess I'm just saying that I would assume is a premise. And so once we've established that, then the obligation is to have a discussion about what kind of psychology do we want to build into human beings. And I guess I'm saying is that the most important thing in the world is defining this value thing, because this defines what kind of human you're going to build. What kind of human's a good human versus a bad human? How addicted should they be? How caught up in bullshit should they be? How owned by this psychology should they be? I mean, I would argue against the existence of myself, because I would say, you could give me, like, say somebody offered me $1 million, okay, so I could have $1 million to live the rest of my life with, and the only condition is that I'd have to relive my life again, the first, number of decades, and the same thing would happen. I'd get $1 million, and then I would live the rest of my life on that money. Yeah, I still wouldn't take the deal, because I wouldn't redo the life. I wouldn't relive it, and it wasn't all that horrible. I didn't live in Bangladesh, so obviously my psychology says no. This is too sloppy, too ugly, too smelly, too stinky, too fucked up, too painful, too just too repulsive for my psychology. My psychology has the repulsive trigger goes off, and that's it. It's a different psychology than maybe your psychology or that person's psychology, and this is the argument to be had. What psychology is closest to something that we could argue is fact-based, rational, appropriate, efficient, functional, by some broader standard than allowing natural selection to draw the line, or some kind of dopey cultural meme. And so that's why I'm saying this is the most important discussion, because I can't really bring up something like virtual reality or some other socialism, even a different economic plan. You can't bring up any other subject until you've sort of resolved what the values are, because it's all dependent on values. What you decide is what is more important. Is freedom or security more important? I would argue that we are doomed unless we compromise freedom for security. That the violent nature of the human being, if we give him too much liberty in the future, he will have too much power to create too much mayhem. One individual will be able to kill 1 million people. That scenario exists. And if we do nothing to see it ahead of time and prevent it, it'll happen. And it will precipitate a chaos that in all likelihood will result in the substantial annihilation in a brutal, harsh way of the substance of human civilization. That's something That's almost a written in stone fact. You know, there's no way to avoid this collision between violence and technology. I've made the point before, but they're going to collide in the future in some sort of catastrophic way. We've seen how we're working up towards that. So these are all things that have to be dealt with. And if no one's going to, if we can't have the conversation, if we don't do the values thing, because the value things is what determines what has real value here. Are our desires the specific thing we desire? Is that the value? Or is the fact that we desire the value? And I think the rational conclusion is that just the fact that we desire that has value. The specific desires are quite irrelevant. And that's why it comes down to, again, you know, we have to expand the size of the human race in a sense, because there are all these other mammals who are nothing but speech impaired. They're not really emotionally impaired. They're not desire impaired. They're just incapable of communicating with us. Big deal. But the substance, the real core of their existence, is just as meaningful as ours. Their capacity, like I said, if you've seen a great ape in terror, in fear, the emotion is so real. So, I mean, you know, I guess I was lucky that one of the days I went to the zoo and the chimpanzees were not having a good day. And when you see it, when you actually see the intensity and passion that they are experiencing, there's no denying the reality of it. The substantive reality, its density, its substance. I mean, it's just bullshit. And for anybody who's had pets, and you have dogs, I mean, you just can't deny the person that's inside that fucking animal. It is a person of a kind. And it's silly not to reject that truth. And that means something. The fact that we are all stuck in this mess, and that we are the only ones capable of doing much about it. We have the tools. We have physics. We have chemistry. We have telescopes. We have microscopes. We have the tools. And we're just sitting around jerking off, in my opinion. I mean, we're not doing anything with this power, and that makes us irresponsible and stupid, and that's why I'm frustrated and disappointed, is because even when philosophical people can't get it, that this isn't a really important subject. It's got to be resolved. This really can't go anywhere until you define what it is you're after. How can you map you can't even map a vacation unless you know what you enjoy. I mean, should we be going to Disney World, or should we go to Wyoming, you know, where the Yellowstone Park? Should we go to the museum, or should we go to Dollywood? You know, these are important questions. You got to know what's valuable before you can plan the future. And there's nothing really more important than talking in that context. So yeah, that's enough of an argument. All right, so until next time. Yeah, I mean, I'm really not getting after you personally, but you're the only person making videos. So of course it all gets kind of dumped on you because I got no one else to dump it on. So yeah, it's nothing. I like 90% of what Fred says. So, you know, it's not like I'm you know, forcing you into a conversation you don't want to engage in. You perfectly free to reject my emphasis. Yeah. But I'd rather you wouldn't. Yeah, okay, good enough. Till next time.